What is something that you crave over and above everything else? What is your core principles? What are the things that motivate you to get you up out of bed in the morning, put you to sleep so that you can get back up and do what you need to do? What are your core motivating factors? For me, I have two. Number one is freedom. And number two, in no particular order, is peace. And in this video, I want to talk about peace and how you can achieve peace and higher levels of peace practicing a mucus-free diet, aka a mucusless diet healing system. Let's get into it. Peace, to me, is a feeling. It's an internal calm and an innate joy as a result of that. It's a benefit of being at peace, is this inner joy, this kind of inner contentment. And it's hard to talk about, and I don't hear a lot of people talking about it. Peace. You know, I always say peace, love, and breath. Peace. But as long as you're constipated, as long as we as a society are into eating the pus and mucus forming foods, we're not going to be able to really harness and enjoy the true benefits of what it is to be at peace, at total peace. You know, when I was practicing, well, not before I started practicing the mucusless diet, when I was eating all the pig and the cow and all the eggs and hot dogs and all that stuff, I found myself in very unpeaceful circumstances where I would be in environments where fights would break out, or I would instigate fights, or maybe even get in a little tussle myself. I thought that was fun. That I did not have peace as a core principle at that point. I already had anxiety issues as a teenager, thought it was normal, didn't have a name for it, didn't really know what it was, but just this anxiety in my stomach that I would smoke or drink something, or, you know, do certain things to try to make that feel better, or eat more, which made it worse, eat more and more and more. So unconsciously, even when we think we want that really rambunctious kind of extreme lifestyle, there's a part of us that craves peace and tranquility. And oftentimes the decisions that we make that are unpeaceful, it's in some way, it's trying to get us back around to that equilibrium. But if we are so out of balance, then we can't act, we get lost. We literally get lost. We do not know how to access and get in touch with various levels of peace. So my message is, if anything, to promote peace as something to, like, something cool, because it's not cool being at peace unless you're in some of the, you know, there are some subcultures in which being at peace is cool, and those who exude the most peace are kind of put on a pedestal. I'm not talking about those subcultures. I'm talking about MTV and, you know, your mainstream society, where peace and tranquility is not something that is generally looked upon with this fervor, with this desire to really, when I grow up, I want to be at peace. It's like, no, when I grow up, I want to be I want to be rich, so what? You can control everything. See, once you reach these levels of peace, you understand you already have that. You already have the control. So you don't need to dominate anything. You don't need to dominate nature. You don't need to kill this animal. You don't need to have 1 billion pets. You already are whole. But you gotta feel that. You gotta experience that. And to me, you know, there's a number of different disciplines that people have traditionally used to try to become one and be more at peace, various paths of enlightenment, paths of, you know, breath work, yogic practices, and that's all great. But the missing link in so many of these practices has been Mucusless diet healing system principle. And if you take some of these folks that really, and a lot of them are vegetarian, but they're not mucus-free. If those folks could get on the mucus-free train, but what they might find is as they started to get more mucus-free, they had to go through some periods of chaos. See, that's part of this process that people don't like, that people want to try to avoid or ignore, is you got to go through some chaos. You got to go through a little turmoil, because you're paying reparations for having broken so many laws. So that's the work that we have to do. But the result at the end of the tunnel being peace, you gotta want that. You gotta have the maturity to understand what that is, why that's so special, why that's so beautiful. And for me, I've just enjoyed so much with the Mucusless diet. It's like I found myself. I found who I was. I've been searching and searching and searching, and I felt it. As soon as I started to get clean enough, started to get things together, I could feel it. Something clicked inside. And even as things wasn't always, you know, peaceful around me, I could, you know, once I found that center, I'm not losing that. I'm sometimes I get away from it, but I'm always going to keep in proximity to that wholeness, to that peace, to that tranquility. Why? It's like people invite their own suffering through that, you know, you enjoy that. When you eat a lot of pus and mucus, I mean, you enjoy the chaos, you enjoy the, you know, the fighting and this, and it's like things that even if you act like you don't like it and you're stressed out all the time, you are actually enjoying all of that. You are enjoying the drama. You are the protagonist in your own Hallmark movie, in your own, what, you know, whatever the movie is, you know, you become your own character in it. And I'm saying the peace path, the peaceful path, is a path that, you know, I encourage you to investigate, and do so through the Mucusless diet healing system. Now, being peaceful doesn't mean that you're not dynamic. Doesn't mean that you don't have a breadth of different ways to express yourself, a breadth of different emotions. You know, I can be, you know, I'm doing this vibe to express that peace, but just because I start getting rambunctious or passionate or even angry, that doesn't mean that peace went anywhere. That peace is unmovable. Once you find it, once you hone in and you get it, it's there. So even if I'm use myself as a channel for the anger of the ancestors, for us being so stupid and doing so many stupid things, or fighting against injustice, righteous indignation. Just because you're at peace doesn't mean you have to act. See what happens, and we saw a thing about this, we were talking about this not that long ago. There's a lot of false positive people out there in certain communities, and some of it's kind of this touchy-feely, like everything has to be positive all the time, just this positivity, and if you say anything negative, it's like, no, be positive, don't judge, be positive, don't judge. Why don't you be positive? Why don't you don't try to police me and my emotions? I'm good. Where's your but I find that most people that do that police other people's emotions, that police other people's, that's because they themselves on the inside are incredibly chaotic. They're trying to put up this facade of peace and tranquility and control and togetherness, when in actuality they really don't feel good on the inside. And it's hard for them to look themselves in the mirror and just be like, because especially if the self-esteem is low, it's hard for them to accept the filthiness of their colon and the constipation, and then to get on the path to cleanliness. See, some people, it's hard for them to get on the path because they don't want to accept that they've been lied to for so long, that they've done something wrong for so long, that their parents did something wrong. It's very hard, and it's just like in any kind of step program, a 12-step program or whatever, the stages of grief, you have to go through the denial stage, which a lot of these folks I'm talking about are kind of in this denial stage. You got to go through the denial stage, go through this grief, you can go through all these various stages, bargaining, then you get to acceptance. And I've accepted my fate, and that's where part of the peace comes. When you know what you're supposed to be doing on this earth, when you get to that point where you know, then imperturbability. Now, I'm not saying I'm totally there, I'm not all the way there yet, but I'm happy with the progress. But I've accepted, I've accepted humanity, where it's at, where I'm at. And acceptance doesn't mean compliance, doesn't mean letting everything just, not fighting to change things. It just means that you accept things how they are now, instead of trying to change the narrative in your head and trying to control the narrative. You accept, I'm in this predicament, but I've been blessed with the tools and the information to get out. It's such a blessing to have access to the Mucusless Diet Healing System 2021. It's a beautiful time to be alive, in my opinion. I mean, sure, I might have fit in better in the 70s or the 60s, just in terms of my personality and that kind of stuff. But, this is a great time. The access that we have, your fruits and vegetables, even though I complain about the nasty stuff up in Ohio, it's, you take a moment to have that gratitude, and I always do that. I don't always say it or preach it publicly, and go and do a big, gratitude sermon. Maybe I should. I probably will as I get older. But, oftentimes I'm communicating with people that wouldn't appreciate. Like, a lot of those folks probably won't watch this video. I'm not going to get folks that will, be able to sustain a gratitude sermon. That's not where their head's at. They want to, they're more likely to respond if I, talk about mucoid plaque and show a bunch of nasty stuff, and they'll respond to that. But if I start talking about, peace, love, and tranquility, and do unto others as you would have them do to you, and all that kind of stuff, you lose a lot of people. And so, but I do have gratitude, and I'm very thankful for opportunities that I've had, and this opportunity to try and put myself back together again. And we'll see. It's a challenge, and we'll see You know, we'll see. It's hard, you know, but I'm happy to be on the path. And for me, that brings peace. That brings peace in itself. You know, just knowing I'm on the right side of history, on the right side of humanity, you know, on the right side of animal-like species. That brings peace, that brings happiness. And so I thank you for tuning in. And as I always like to say, peace, love, and breath. Peace. It's all about that peace. Gotta love yourself, love. Just let it emanate. Let it emanate from you. Like I said, you don't always have to talk about it. That's why I don't always talk about some of these kind of topics, because it's a feeling, an expression. And you should feel in any of my videos, just me, because it's who I am. And it's who you are. And we don't have to constantly try to convince other people that we are spiritual, or that we're, you know, I see that stuff is weird to me. I see people trying to, like, it's like the spiritual Hunger Games or something, where they're like trying to compete, like who's more spiritual, who's more, you know, who meditated longer, and who did this, and who fasted longer, and, you know, who read more books on spirituality, and who, you know, it's like, y'all just missed the whole point of the whole piece. Spiritual Hunger Games. Somebody ought to make that into a meme or something. That's a blog post. This is the title of something, of a song maybe. You know, Spiritual Hunger Games. But that's what it looks like to me, man. When I'm seeing these folks, it's like you even get YouTubers like arguing each other. You know, like they're on about spirituality. It's like, what you gonna do? You gonna argue about spirituality? Man, if you okay, I mean, have fun with that one, but that's more arguing. That's not arguing about spirit. That's arguing about ego. That's two egos arguing about themselves. Has nothing to do with spirituality once you get to that level. So anyway, I appreciate you. Love you. We can do so much. Yeah, we can do so much more than what we often aspire to. Our limited narrow-mindedness or vision. Expand your vision. That's what I try to do, and I hope that I'm able to help some people do by watching these videos, is just think. We think different, and it's okay. And you don't have to think like me. You know, I like being in a room full of people where everybody thinks different. You know, we all have a pool of information. Like we starting from the same place. We know the same fundamental things, but we all bring something different to the table in terms of ideas and intellect, and, you know, and so expand, as the song says, expand your mind to understand that love and peace is for everybody on earth. Expand your mind. So with that, I want to invite you to click this right here and check out this great video. You really enjoy this. I made this specifically for you. So click right here, right now, and I will see you over there.